Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today you join me at Rivington Services. We're on our way up north to buy something quite interesting. I saw this car yesterday on Auto Trader and immediately called the seller because you just don't see these cars anymore. As you know, I'm a big fan of the Mercedes ML. I've featured lots of them on this channel over the years, specifically the W163 model, which ran from 1998 until 2005. Nerd alert. I've had dozens of these MLs over the years, the petrol 320, the petrol 500, the diesel 270, but I've never had the ML55 AMG. Until now. You see, the ML55 AMG was the very first performance SUV. It paved the way for things like the Cayenne Turbo, the Lamborghini Urus, the BMW X5M. None of those cars would exist without this ML55. It used a naturally aspirated 5.4 litre V8, which produced 347 brake horsepower. It's essentially the same engine as featured in my SL55 AMG, only minus the supercharger. These things sounded awesome, and I've never had one, so let's try and change that today. You see, the ML55 is just one of those cars that I've always fancied ever since being a kid. It's just a mad combination. It's a rugged off-roader, it's a luxurious family car, and it'll beat most sports cars off the lights. On top of that, these cars are now super rare. You just hardly ever see them. There was only one for sale on Auto Trader, and that's the one we're going to look at. It's a late 2001 51, so it's the first of the facelift. The facelift started from late 2001 to 2005. It's only done 90,000 miles and it looks like it's in really good condition. And the advertised price is £4,800, which sounds like a bit of a bargain. I've seen these cars go for £7,000 or £8,000, so £4,800 I thought was too good to miss. Well, we're only about 20 minutes away now, so I'll see you in a bit. Well, I think you know what this means. I bought it. I'm now the proud owner of a 2001 Mercedes ML55 AMG. What do you think? Let me give you a tour then. Should we start with the most important area? Under the bonnet. Now this has got a hand-built 5.4 litre, naturally aspirated. Ignore the bonnet struts. I do have a bit of a to-do list with this car, but there we go, like a magician. They're a really reliable engine, these. It produces nearly 350 brake horsepower, which might not sound like an awful lot in 2025, but back in 2001, that was a lot. This engine propelled this giant lump from 0 to 62 in just 6.8 seconds. I'm not sure if it's still capable of that 24 years later, but back in 2001 it definitely was. It smells a little bit hot, but we'll get it checked out properly in probably a part two video. This was also good for 145 miles an hour. Because this was the AMG, it came with a different body kit, which looks way more sporty and aggressive. For example, you get these chunky flared wheel arches. You get a different front bumper, which was unique to the 55 AMG. You got a different grille. And to give you some idea of what lurked beneath, you got these nice bulges in the bonnet, just to let you know that you probably had to get out of its way. It does need a little bit of TLC, this car, but happily for it, it's come to the right person. So what we're going to do with this car is give it a full buff, correct the paintwork. There are a few areas where it's a little bit scabby. Now this era of Mercedes, anyone who's ever owned one will know that they do rust for fun. So I'll have to take this car to my body shop and get that sorted. While it's down there, I think we'll buff the headlamps, replace the reg plates, and just generally get it looking its best. You have to remember it's a 24-year-old car now, so it's never going to look like new, but my plan is to get it looking as good as I possibly can. What I liked about this car was just how genuine it was. The previous owners owned it for nearly 9 years and always serviced it every single year. I've got a big thick folder on the passenger seat there full of receipts. And when I checked it out with Car Vertical, it all checked out fine. Here's a report, let me show you. By the way, before you hand over any cash for a used car or motorbike, it's really important that you do one of these checks. All you need to do is go to carvertical.com and type in the reg or the VIN. So in this case, it was Oscar Echo 51 Yankee Romeo Whiskey, and then check vehicle. And what this does, it checks database in 35 different countries. So it tells you whether it's ever been stolen, written off, had a mileage rollback, or has outstanding finance on it. Because this isn't just a UK thing, if this has had a bump in Belgium or a crash in Corsica, this will tell us. It doesn't take long and it isn't expensive, and it's cheaper still if you use my promo code HIGHPEAK. That's HIGHPEAK, all one word, HIGHPEAK, and you'll save yourself 20% off each and every check that you do. Right, and the report's done. So it is a 2001 Mercedes ML55 AMG. It's never been clocked, no outstanding finance, there's no recorded accident damage, and it's never been stolen. Which is good actually, because this would have made the perfect getaway car. If we scroll down a little bit further, it shows you the full timeline of the car's life. So as you can see here, for the last 9 years, it's only done about 1,000 miles a year. It's barely been used. If we scroll down a little bit further, we can see the average market price for such a vehicle is £9,000. Now, bear in mind this car was advertised for £4,800, and I'm a great negotiator. I got it for £4,500. So £4,500, I'm quite pleased with that. There was one other for sale on eBay and it was something like £6,000. So at 4.5, I'm quite happy. This report has also produced all the MOT history, so if we scroll down to the most recent one, we can see it's got quite a clean MOT, which is good. So the last one was done in October last year with no advisory items. So there we go. It gave me confidence to buy it. Right, let me show you around the car then. So around the side, it's got these chrome sidebars, which I'm not a big fan of. I might remove those. I also like these big AMG wheels. And they've been fitted with winter tyres, so this might go on a little, I don't know, little expedition. Watch this space. Moving around the back, there's a little bit of body damage here to the bumper. Now it's got a Mercedes detachable tow bar, and there are a few little marks here where someone's, tried to hitch up a trailer or caravan or something. So I'll have to get that repainted. But interestingly, there's no rust around here. They always seem to rust around this number plate, but that's pretty good. Oh, we do need a new rear wiper though. Split. I just think this car's got so much presence from the back. You've got those big twin AMG exhausts, and then the badging on the back, just, I don't know, I just always like them. Now, the ML55 AMG was never sold as a 7-seater, it only came as a 5-seater. The other MLs were available with the optional family pack, which gave you a 6th and 7th seat, but that was never available on the 55 AMG. So the previous owner bought the 6th and 7th seat and then fitted them. I might take those out though, I've got no real use for those, to be fair. In here we've got a spare headrest, tow bar, spare plate, and I guess they're the covers for the boot floor. Moving around this side, there's a little bit of rust at the bottom of the doors, as is often the case. And if you sort of look behind this this wheel arch extension, there's a little bit of rust there. So I'm gonna have to get those, pop those off, sort it, and then stick them back on. It's quite a clean old truck, isn't it? Let me show you the interior, because that's where it gets even better. Check out this interior. I've never seen an interior like this, and I'll be honest, on the photographs it looked a little bit garish. But in real life, it's not that bad. It's a two-tone black and dark green. I'm not sure who would have spec'd this from new, but maybe tastes were different 24 years ago. Should we fire her up? You ready for this? Sounds good, doesn't it? Inside then, it's kind of like any other ML from this era, only because this is the AMG, it's just that little bit better. So for example, you get a nicer leather steering wheel, the leather on the seats is upgraded, you even get leather around the automatic gear lever. You've got not 2, not 4, but 6 electric windows. The rear ones pop open like this. Ready? You've got heated seats, you've got sat-nav. How do we work this? Oh, look at that. State of the art. And also, wait for this. I've got a Nokia, what is that? A 6310. How good's that? It's a proper Mercedes one. It's got the Mercedes thing on it. Mercedes there and the Mercedes down here. Should we see if it works? I might actually start using this. It works. I've got an ML with a phone. Pop that back in its holster. What else can I show you? We've got a broken glove compartment, so I need to fix that. It's a little bit coming off its hinges there. And this is a common issue with MLs. The fabric here on the A-pillars all started to peel. So I'll get my my trimmer on that, replace the fabric on both pillars. But the headlining's all right. We've got a sunroof. I'm not trying that today. That's about it, really. But it's all in really good condition. Everything works, including the air conditioning, which I was quite pleased about. My sat-nav works, my heater works, which is handy on a day like today. We've got snow on the ground and it's only a couple of degrees. We've even got the original AMG mats. So overall, I'm really happy. Should we get this old truck on the road then? See how she performs? This is quite a big deal for me because I've never driven one of these cars before. That clunk didn't sound encouraging, did it? Yeah, I've never driven one of these before. I've always fancied one. I've had loads of the... Oh, nearly rotor's off then. I've had loads of the 320s, a couple of 270 diesels. I've even had a 500 with a spare wheel carrier. But I've never had the 55, it's just always eluded me. This one straight away, there's some sort of annoying clunk there. I'll have to get that sorted. And my tracking's way off. I don't know what it is, but every single car I've bought recently, tracking's either way to the left or way to the right. We've got squeaky brakes. Still, I just think for £4,500, this is an awful lot of car. It must be one of the cheapest AMGs in the country, you know. The W163ML is already a rare car, but the AMG is even more so. You just don't see these cars anymore. What's mad is that if you compare this to a G-Wagon, to a G55 AMG, the G-Wagon will be worth 10 times this. I'm pretty sure you couldn't get a G55 AMG for less than £40,000. And yet here I am in this, which is basically the same thing, for just £4,500. They are quite old-fashioned to drive. So what you've got here is a basic body-on-frame setup. It drives and handles like an old 90s boxy 4x4. Only with this, we've got a 350 brake horsepower hand-built AMG motor up front. What we should do really is do a quick performance test. As soon as I get a straight road, I promise you I will. But so far, it drives all right. Handles quite well for one of these, anyway. You do get quite a bit of body roll in corners, and you do feel all the bumps. That's because it's quite a rudimentary setup. You know, when I called the seller of this earlier just to see if it was still available, I said, what's it like condition-wise? And he said something which always kind of worries me, but I get where he's coming from. He said, well, for a 24-year-old car, it's all right. So I thought, he's trying to set my expectations there to a realistic level, which is quite right, in fairness. He must have had some people come along who thought they were buying a brand new AMG. But as always, I'm quite pragmatic and I'm quite realistic. This is a 24-year-old car, so I'm not expecting a brand new thing. Squeak, squeak. We'll sort this out. I think what we're going to do with this first is run it over to Sam at SPR, my local Mercedes specialist. He knows these cars like the back of his hand, so I'll get him to get it up on the ramp and check it all over and make sure we're all good. I'll get it serviced and do whatever else he recommends, and then I'm not really sure. What I should do, because I'm a car dealer, is sell it. But that's probably not what's going to happen. You know that, I know that, there's no point pretending. This will probably just be another weird addition to my fleet. But why not? You only live once, don't you? I'm thinking since I've spotted those winter tyres, a nice trip to the Alps might be on the cards. Who knows? It's been 2 years since I took that XC70 to the Alps, so it's probably about time I did it again. It's quite a good trip, that. Right, let's do a quick performance test then. Are you ready? We're down to 10 miles an hour. We're going to sting it, kick down. Oh, she does actually. It's not quick. It really isn't. This is the amazing thing, you know. Back in 2001, 350 brake horsepower. Well, this was like the first performance SUV. But now, of course, there are things like the Range Rover Sport SVR and the Lamborghini Urus that would run rings around this. That clunking is really irritating me. Here we go, and again. She does go, actually. And that there is 60 miles an hour. It's quick enough, you just would never get in it and think, wow, what a quick car, because it isn't. Things have changed, nearly a quarter of a century has passed, so things have progressed. But I'm still over the moon with it. I've got a proper AMG here for less than £5,000. What's not to like? I'm heading home in this tonight, I think. One downside with a car like this is obviously fuel consumption. I'll be lucky to do about 15 miles to the gallon, I imagine. I'm not sure because there's no trip, which is probably a good thing, isn't it? It's too old, this car, so there's no trip computer. There's no annoying computers here reminding me that I'm only doing 15 miles per gallon. Still, the metric I like to work by is miles per gallon, not miles per gallon. And it's definitely plenty of miles per gallon. Right then, I've got about an hour's drive home, so I'll be very well acquainted with this car by the time I get back to Manchester. And that's about it. Tomorrow I'm going to take this down to Sam at SPR in Stockport and have him check it over thoroughly, tell me what's wrong with it. I'm hoping, though, he doesn't find anything too seriously wrong with it. So far, I know I've only driven less than 5 miles, but so far, so good. Quite like it. I think this is my to-do list, really. Once I've had all the mechanical bits done at SPR, then I'll take it over to Jimmy the Magician, who'll hopefully sort out all the bodywork. I'll order some new reg plates for it, I'll take it to my trimmer, sort those bits out, and that's about it. Oh, I need to order a new bonnet badge. The Mercedes badge is a bit faded. That's about it, though, really. Doesn't need an awful lot of work. It's unusual, isn't it? We're in unusual territory here. I'm hoping this doesn't mean I've got a massive overspend coming. I don't think so, to be honest. If I set myself a budget of, let's call it £1,000. If I set myself a budget of £1,000, then this will owe me £5,500. 55. Did that on purpose. So that's basically my plan. That's about it. As we all know, I've got absolutely no reason to keep this car, but I want to, and I think I shall. So that's about it, guys. I hope you all like my new to me 24-year-old Mercedes ML55 AMG that I bought for just £4,500. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. I'll leave the links below. And yeah, cheers guys. I'll see you next time.